like your childhood, I don't know too much. I know you were homeschooled a bit. You did public education. You have 2 brothers. That's it, right?
Yeah, I have two younger brothers. I don't think
they're here for that's ICE.
Yeah, that's definitely ICE. They're here for us.
Yeah.
Sirens going off outside the unsub house. This is where we say the unsub house is in the ghetto. I was actually I went to in the very beginning. I went to a very small private school, but like. You think private school, you think like prep school with like uniforms and, when everybody plays lacrosse. I went to a small, I guess it was technically a Christian private school. That was like my second grade class was in a single wide with like 12 other kids.
Oh, and it's like private of like families are teaching each other together almost.
Not quite like homeschool co-op, although I did do that later. But it was just small, and like the guy who owned the school, like his house was there. Like he lived, you went to the big house, if like he needed to, yell at you because you were doing something you were supposed to.
They're going to the big house. Brandon has been causing mischief.
Like 4th and 5th grade were taught in the same room with like a split divider. Like it wasn't like you think private school. It was not that. It was a little different, but it was, I don't know. It was, so growing up in Fayetteville's rough.
Yep.
Yeah. I had to pick carefully what stories I tell about Fayetteville. Cause it's like, man, I had to pull a gun more times before I turned 18 than I did after.
Which is fucking wild.
Which is the way it was. Like that's just
military cities in general. Any town that is right outside a base. They're never nice.
I can't name a single one.
No, fucking we call it Tillicompton. It's Tillicum outside of Fort Lewis, and we just called it Tillicompton because it's fucking rundown. You had the $1 Chinese places. You had the $5 haircuts. I don't know. I don't know if it's just the transient population is like just not conducive to a stable a city. I guess I don't know what it is. Because and it is weird because for the most part, most soldiers don't live right off base either. They live on base or in the nicer areas. Like, no, I'd never live in Tillicompton. It's like,
did you ever spend any time in Fayetteville?
No. During basic training when they do, because that's that's Benning.
Yeah.
No, that's
so Fayetteville's Bragg.
Bragg. Never mind. Yeah. No, I have one time visiting, and then that was it, and that was a day.
Yeah, they call it Vietnam.
Yeah. I'm good. So was it your parents that were dad or?
So both of my parents were, no part of my family is originally from Fayetteville, but both of my parents were Army brats. So my dad was brought in by, his dad and stepdad and whatnot. And my mother's father was, I think motor pool. He was a Korean War vet.
Oh, shit.
And had fucking 6 kids. And so, yeah. Typical Army guy, I guess.
Pumping out kids, and then they were like, "Okay, hey, have you 2 other kids?" And then you lived middle income.
It depends on what point in my childhood, because like that's where my
most
my parents always get a little like we weren't broke. I'm like, there were times we were broke, but I was just thinking about this the other day actually, because so when I was born and like my parents early on, we were in like 1-bedroom apartment kind of thing. Like my dad worked like multiple fast food jobs when I was born. And like, I don't know, I was with my family recently and we were telling these stories where like, there were times when I was young where my dad would come home after like a week of, or at the end of the week after working multiple jobs. And my mom would get mad at him because he would buy me like a balloon at the end of the week. And she would get mad because we didn't have the money for it. And he's like, oh, but it makes him happy. Yeah. Like shit like that. It's like, oh God,
It's that positive. It's that struggle too, where it's like, holy fuck, man, my dad, and you appreciate the shit of it now because you're like, man, my dad worked all these jobs. It gave you that mindset too. Like, I mean, knowing you and your struggles and then you continue to persevere, even depending, and no matter what you're doing, you're like, okay, I'm going to make time. I'm going to work hard because your dad set the standard.
And I'm lucky in the way that when I was going through whatever the fuck I went through, I didn't have a kid while I was doing it. And like that, I can only imagine what it was like for that. And like both of my parents worked really hard, but like that, I can only imagine. Because then my dad was working at like, I think he was working late night at Hardee's. He was working night shift at Hardee's to pay for basically when he wanted to go out on his own, like he wanted to start a business. And
so he was stacking that just to,
yeah.
So he was like, hey, I got these jobs are set aside to pay bills, take care of my family, or be the best dad I can. And that's like even buying a balloon, which is showing it's like struggle, but it's like, hey, yeah, we don't have money, but this makes my kiddo happy. And that's what fucking matters to me.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, persevering through, it's like, well, I'll just lose sleep, lose more time, have another job, take on that stress, because here's what I want to do.
And obviously I don't really remember any of that. That's when I was very young. But just to hear those stories and like now, like, because, you know, you hear this shit growing up and you're like, whatever, mom and dad. But then you're our age and you hear these stories and it just hits completely fucking different.
Yeah, dude. You reflect on those, especially with a kiddo, right? And like, I think I've told it before where I had one gas station. I know you could overdraw it wouldn't do what most gas stations will check if you had like 25 or $50 in your account.
Yep.
And if you don't, it won't let you pump gas. There is one gas station you can have for like 25 cents. As long as it was on positive, whoop, pull it out.
And you just eat the overdraw fee?
Fuck yeah, dude. Until Friday, I was like, fuck it. I'm going to do this. This is how I get to work for the rest of the week. I will just do this. Or, I'm going to just not eat because I'm going to do when I met Freddie and all them that really set that trajectory up, it was, well, I just am going to eat nothing. I set money for Ryden and baby mama. At that time, I was like, okay, you guys are taken care of. I'm buying this ticket, so I'm just not going to eat. But I think this is the opportunity that might have a net positive, and it worked. But if it's that terrifying, I have to take that risk. I'm going to have to do that. I'm just not going to eat in order to make it happen.
And I know I've told that story before when it was like one of my first times hanging out with Cody, like visiting him in Fort Mill. Like as I was coming back from an event, I didn't have enough money for fucking gas. I think I had to ask a friend to Venmo me $30, and I'm like, I'll pay you back when I get there. Like I got nothing in my debit account, and that's when I had like $2 because I had to buy gas to be able to go back, go home, and I didn't have enough money for food when I was there with Cody, and he wanted to get lunch, and it was
what'd you do?
Well, because it was some like barbecue place, some like pork, you know, some South Carolina barbecue, and I lied and I said that I had already eaten, I wasn't hungry, and I got a water.
Is that pride, dude? That pride is the heart, especially like we're blessed now because of all, like, we all usually buy each other's meals now. We don't split the check. It's like, I got it, you got it. But
it all comes around at some point, like.
But back then, I guarantee you, like, Cody's not picking up everyone. That is everyone splitting their meals, and then you're just like, hey.
It was at the point Cody absolutely would have paid for it.
Oh, 100%.
I know for a fact he would have clearly gotten it. He was doing like he'd been doing the YouTube thing a lot. Like how about this? He had succeeded at YouTube for longer than I had. So I was still very much like right on the cusp. Like I saw where it was going, but I didn't have fucking $1 to my name outside of what I was putting into everything.
But still the pride where you're like, I ate, and then waiting until you got home. Like, fuck it, I'll just eat this. And then the one friend, I guarantee, was still the shame when you have to ask for money, dude. I will never be there again. No, I've prided myself on never asking my dad for a single dime, and I've had some like struggles where I was like, fuck, and I don't know about you when you were struggling. I would just sell shit that I owned. That was always my go-to. I would just sell shit, man. Like, and when people would be like, oh, well, I don't have money, so can I, or this, I was like, are you selling? I'm struggling, but I'm trying. It's like, are you selling your personal shit yet? No.
Yeah, you're not struggling.
Fucking struggling, brother. Like, period.
When I brought on Zach was my first full-time real employee, right? And back in the olden days, there were times because I'd never taken on that fiscal responsibility to where like I'm having to provide for this guy's whole paycheck. And there were several guns that I had at the time that I gotten through like trade deals or whatever the fuck that I remember selling. And I remember like at a certain point, because I knew he knew the AK market pretty well. There was a Romy G like an original barrel Romy G kit. AK nerds will fucking get why that's cool. But I that was the first gun apparently that I had asked Zach. I'm like, hey, I may have like let slip basically that like I don't know where your paycheck's coming from. Essentially, basically like you can start selling off. Like, can you just start selling off some of my collection so we can like make ends meet so we can continue to do this and this thing. And that was a thing that fucking hit me like a ton of bricks. Because this year for Christmas, the boys chipped in, and he got me a fucking original Romy G kit, replaced, like all the boys kind of chipped in for it. And I was just like, oh, cool, like an AK parts kit. He's like, no, this is the exact specs of everything of the gun that the gun that you sold back in the day to pay for my salary. And I was just like, that's really cool. I'll see you guys later. And I went back to my car. I was like, oh, that hurts. Okay. Yeah.
But also a testament to your character. Your boys are going out of their way to do something like that, and they remember that moment of, hey, Brandon sacrificed this for me. How can we repay that in years down the road?
And I don't like to think that I'm hot shit by any means, but like it means a lot when people remember.